Welcome to the Rivercity Unlimited podcast by powerlifting coaches with infinite solutions for your problems. A good coach is ubiquitous now in powerlifting and strength training, but that hasn't always been the case. In 2017, Rivercity founder trained in a well-known powerlifting gym in North Brisbane, Australia. Dealing with outdated coaching services with a need for more community or support, he sought out a new coach with a better system and support. He soon realized that there were fewer coaches in powerlifting to meet the demands of beginner to high-level competitive powerlifters. After spending months studying, designing, trialing and testing systems, Rivercity Barbell and its first coaching system were born. Created from a single powerlifter experience with an intention to improve the athlete experience, the unique system meant athletes could reach maximum strength injury-free. 6 years on, and Rivercity Barbell system is still relied on by elite and amateur athletes. Please welcome your hosts, Matt Burton and Deyana Stubner.
Here we are again, episode 5. So we're back on the podcast, kicking it again. How are you?
I'm good. I was just thinking, I always start off with a giggle.
Yeah.
I already giggled at the start. You might have missed it, but
Captain
anyway.
Giggles. There it is.
I don't know why.
It's better than the D12 intro.
I don't know about that. But yes, I'm well. Yep, pretty good. Can't complain. What about you?
Yeah, I'm alright. As good as it gets. It's been a bit of a shit run for me this year. But not in a bad way. I'm not complaining about anything, but I have hit another speed hump in the prep for Zero Pro, which is it's just, I'm starting to laugh about it now because it's getting a bit too frequent. So to start the story, yeah, she's laughing at it too. To start the story off about it, most people would know bits here and there, but obviously at the start of the year, I lost one of my friends to suicide, which was pretty hard on me. And so like my prep started last year, and it would have been about mid-year, but like really this year I've had a bit of a bad run with like a few things, and it's just like really had every obstacle thrown at me. So yeah, lost Matt at the start of the year. That was a pretty big hit to like my focus in training. And then we went to Pro Raw, and that weekend I came down with hand, foot and mouth from Deanna's little girl, thank you. And that absolutely rocked me. Like, I was pretty fucked up. And around that stage, that's when all my training was like going really well. I was hitting like really good numbers, some really high deads and squats and whatnot, hitting some PRs. And at that point is where everything just started going downhill. And then a few weeks later after that, I think the abductor issue started to arise, where I got tendinopathy of my right abductor, and it was just like I couldn't squat properly or deadlift over 200 for like 10 weeks. So then on the tail end of that, around week 8 of that, I got influenza B, thanks to Dee's son, so sharing the germs around. Gave the whole household it.
He was A, but yeah.
Yeah, A or A, whatever. And then, just when I thought that everything was getting better, my abductor came good, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's try sumo. Started trying sumo, and then last week I got fucking shingles. It was oh man, do not wish that on anybody, ever. I feel sorry for Dee because she's had to hear me whinge for the last week.
That's why I'm laughing now.
But I do not wish shingles on anyone. They reckon, so obviously it comes from chickenpox. If you've had chickenpox, it lays dormant in your spine. But it was the most agonising pain I've ever been in, the nerve pain. And the meds do fuck all. And yeah, lucky I've still been able to eat. I've lost a bit of weight, but went back to training Sunday.
Yeah.
I benched, and I could only get halfway through my session. So I got my benches done. Strength still there. Hit 140 for 2 singles. And then, so obviously I hadn't trained for 2 weeks around that anyway, because that happened. And then I went in last night and deadlifted. So I pulled 220 for 6 singles, and that was the heaviest I've deadlifted in 11 weeks. So and that was on sumo, and I was actually able to finish my session last night. So the reason I couldn't finish my session the night before was just because the shingles were hurting so much when my sweat was dripping into it. It's all healed up now. There's no blisters or anything, but it's just the after effect of shingles is like nerve pain, and like it's really sensitive where the rash was, and it's like crazy. Like I wake up in the morning and it's like feels like my underneath on my belly is like on fire with like the only easiest way to explain it would be like a burn. Yeah. And it's almost like all the blood rushes there to your torso because you're laying down. So then in the morning, like it's super sensitive.
Yeah, when you sit up and
Yeah,
it moves
so-
around your body.
So we're 6 weeks out from Zero Pro, and I have not deadlifted or squatted over 200 except for last night. So great start.
She be right.
Everything in my brain has said pull out, and don't do it. But then I'm an arrogant person that's been like, no, you're going to do it, do or die, pretty much. So we're going there. We're going to do it. It'll be a fun day anyway. And the whole goal for me anyway is not to do Zero Pro to be the best on the platform and win or anything like that, but just to get a ticket to Nationals next year. So either way, if I put up the same total, I'm still going to get a ticket to Nationals because I'm fourth in Australia anyway.
I don't think that qualifies for the Nationals.
For my Nationals, it does, not for yours.
Okay.
Mine it does because I'm untested, so it qualifies for that.
Cool.
You have to do an untested meet.
Yeah, I know, because like
Untested meet, yeah.
I technically qualify from last Nationals, but
Oh yeah, true.
I'm in a different weight
Yeah, you
class, so
wanna
I
go
need to do
different
a redo.
How's your prep going anyway? You can give us some insight on that, update on your life.
Yeah, just keeping busy as always. Prep's been a little bit interesting. We were talking about that last night at the gym. Yeah, a bit of an interesting prep compared to usual, I suppose. I've had a couple of weeks there where I was sort of sick here and there. I don't really get sick much either, so it was weird to sort of feel.
Same.
It's like I felt like you're freaking sick all the time. Anyway, it's like I got it's almost like I got sick twice really close together, which is very unusual for me. The second round, I thought I was getting sick, and I think it was a bit of hay fever.
It's weird because you got that, and then I got the same thing after. I was like, I had the shingles, and halfway through shingles, my nose starts running, and then he's like, "Oh, take this magic shit up your nose," and then next minute it was gone.
Don't say it like that. It's just nasal spray.
It was
Jesus.
nasal spray. It wasn't cocaine. But
whatever works.
she said, "Take this shit," and I was like, wake up the next morning. I'm like, "Fucking, this is like the ultimate shit ever." I got rid of opened my airways up, but I didn't even get sick from that either. Like the next day, I had a bit of a droopy nose, and then it disappeared.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, and I just had a few things change in my sort of roster with my kids and things, and just a little bit of adaptation there. So haven't quite been hitting all my days of training, which I'm normally quite strong on, of course. But when it falls out of my hands a little bit, you just got to do what you can do. But I hit 3 to 4 days a week at least, so I'm still getting my variations in there.
Yeah, you're still getting most of the stuff in.
I'm just really hard on myself, as you know. But on the other side as well, my squats have been coming along a bit better. I've adapted to this wraps a little bit. I think I can breathe now. So yeah, it's cool to feel those getting along. But yeah, I was just soldier on. My thought process is never to quit a comp. I just go out there and do what I can. So see what happens. Comp day is always different.
There was I think it was more like me looking at the health side of things for me leaving, not doing it in the first place was more like I've been sick a lot, maybe finding the bottom of it and fixing that before I did something else. Because obviously I'm not a natural athlete, so along those lines, like you don't want to add more stress on more stress, but seems like things are getting better now, so we will just follow along with that. But yeah, so yeah, Zero Pros 6 weeks out. We got me, Lee, Laura, you, all competing. I'm pretty sure. I think sure there's 4 of us. Should be a fun weekend.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I reckon
I'm the
it's
only
gonna
guy because Dean pulled out because he just
true.
he just moved house, so like he just didn't want to travel up. He didn't have the money to travel up here.
Yep.
So he's just going to do like an APL meet and get into nationals next year. So he's going to compete down at Strength Tribe in December, I think, for Xmas Cup. And yeah, so he pulled out, and then so yeah, it's pretty much just me, you, and Laura and Lee, which will be fun.
Boss man and the girls.
Yeah.
It's always fun. Zero to like. Well, it's not going to be at 0, but I mean, like, APL, always great comps.
I'm just looking forward to it because I get to compete with my friends now, like my clients, my team.
Yeah.
Because I'm normally, like, always compete, and then my clients compete, and I do a comp where no one can compete unless me, because I don't want to handle people. But this time I've got, like, Maddie's going to be wrapping us, so at least, like, I can just not have to stress about handling you guys. Because if I had to wrap you guys, I'd be fucked. Because we'll all be on the same day anyway, so we're all in the opens except for Lee. Lee's on elite. Lee's
big girl thing.
Lee's that big girl elite thing. She's coming along really well. Her prep's fucking going.
She's a boss.
She's killing it. Like I know Lee listens in and she'll message me after this, but
big love.
she's absolutely been
lovely.
smashing it. Like. She had a triple the other week on a 260, 160, not
Jesus, 260.
Whoa.
She's
260. But after coming out like nationals, winning nationals, but just hitting the same total as last time, just we kind of just wanted to ramp it up this time, and she's gone in full force. And to see her build such strong confidence in herself as well, she's like the boss now. She's like, I'm number one. And I love it. I love the confidence in herself because she never used to be like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really nice to see that come up, and she's really come out of her shell now and just embracing the strength that she has inside and out, and letting it come through in her lifts. And
I think she deserves to have that confidence because she's been like winning stuff, and she's competed at nationals and worlds and been on the podium every time, and she's entitled to have that confidence.
Yeah, so she should.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a false confidence that
it's not an ego. It's definitely not an ego.
No. So
it's earned.
Yes.
And then Laura's wasn't doing it. She was doing a comp in Bathurst. She's still doing that one, but she was like, I got an invite. I'm just gonna do it. And I'm like, all right, sweet ass, go for it.
Sweet.
So yeah, she's coming up from Bathurst, and she should smash it pretty well. She had a bad one at nationals, got sick beforehand, that stomach bug, and it screwed her over a little bit, which was kind of sad, because she had the most amazing prep leading into that. But yeah, so we have her, and then she'll have fun. She'll enjoy it. She's always fun.
She's awesome. Yeah, I love her little quirkiness, and she's strong. She's a strong little girl.
yeah. Like she hit like in prep, like for nationals, she hit a 400 kilo total.
Yeah.
Like at 70, I think she's 72 kilos. Yeah, so that's a big girl.
She's a strong girl, and she's really like she's quite determined. Hey, like
she just doesn't know her own like strength. Yeah. Like she definitely doesn't know her own strength.
Yeah.
Cool
and
it's funny because
she keeps going. Yeah.
It's funny because she's like so like ditzy. Like not ditzy,
Quirky.
but like quirky, like not ditzy, but like you would not, if you saw her walking down the street and they're like, oh, what do you do for a sport? You wouldn't think powerlifting at all.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
But yeah, that's an update on the team pretty much. Like we have the other comps we've got coming at the end of the year. We've got Xmas Cup. We've got about 10 there down on the Gold Coast. Yeah, at 0. And then last week, Justin competed on the Central Coast, and he went 245, 15 kg PR, 190 bench was a 10 kg bench, and 250 dead at like 90 kilos. So he smashed that. Absolutely, he earned every kilo on that bar. I was so proud of his bench too. Like 190 bench, that's huge.
Massive.
At 90 kilos.
That's mad.
I think he weighed in at 89 kilos too. So he really badly wants that 200 kilo bench. Like every day he's telling me that he's going for it.
He trains hard, hey.
And then he
puts in the work, yeah.
But then the next day he goes in the gym and he bench 195. No pause, but still like.
Still, it wasn't that bad when I saw it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a bad bench at all. He still touched his chest.
The day after comp.
Yeah.
What can you expect? That's mental.
Yeah.
Even to be loading that up.
We got one secret with him. There's one thing. He's one person that I use one thing in his program every prep. Can't tell people this secret, but it's mine. Justin will know if he listens in what we use. It's one bench variation that blows his bench up every time. So
cool.
Yeah, but it's a secret between me and him.
All right then.
Yeah, if you want to know, just get coached by me, and I'll let you have the
already
variation.
Know what it is.
Yeah. But anyway, so we'll go on to today's topic, which is going to be about RPE. Like, what the fuck is RPE?
Ooh.
Like, there's going to be a lot of haters that don't like RPE.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah. So, to talk about RPE, the way I visualize RPE is what we use mainly at River City. I do use percentage on back offsets, but I do give people numbers when it's leading into comp, and I can control when I want to control things a little bit better. But basically, all our programming is RPE. Why? Because I find that RPE is the best way to use, the best strategy to use when it comes to so many people having variances in their life, from work stress, normal life stress, people who work long jobs, people who sit in an office all day. You know, like, there's so much variance and variety of people that do different things, that get it like drained from different things, or they have things in their life that might interfere with training. And if I give someone a number, they're going to directly think they have to hit that number. If they don't hit that number, it builds up this false thought in their mind about that they're not doing good enough.
Or that they're not progressing.
Yeah, that they're not progressing. So, like, in my mind and in my own training, from my experience, RPE has been the best way to keep your training consistent based around everything else that's happening in your life. So what is actually RPE? It's auto-regulating your training. So RPE stands for now I fucked up.
Rate of perceived exertion.
She's going to do it for me because my brain just ticked 3 steps ahead. So rate of perceived exertion. And so one of the things I want to talk about today on RPE is the fact that RPE didn't come from strength training. So RPE came from like track and field and like other things to rate how hard something felt. So what they basically used in strength training before RPE came in strength training was RIR, which is reps in reserve. So one of the questions that I had someone ask me today is, what's the difference between RPE and RIR? They're nothing. They're both the same. They're just the scales flipped around the other way. So if I gave you an RP7, you'd have 3 reps in the tank left. If I gave you 3 RII, it just means that you'd have 7 reps to do. So that's the difference. They're pretty much the same thing. It's just that the fact that RPE came from track and field and other sports to rate how hard something felt. And then they brought it into lifting and weight and made that scale pretty much the same. So how do you check your RPE? So you look at, if I was to give you an RP6, you'd have four reps left in the tank when you finish whatever rep range I gave you, or say you had 1 rep to do, you'd put a weight on the bar that you could do with 4 reps after that, but you don't actually do the 4 reps.
Yeah. So it's a scale of 1 to 10.
Yep.
So if it says RPE 6, there's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 4 reps left in the tank.
Yeah, we don't use anything below 6, so it's a 6 and up.
Yeah. I like to explain it to people to say, just say a scale of 1 to 10. Obviously, we only start around the 6s, but yeah, just making your top number being the 10, so then they can work out. You just need those few in between to be your sort of scale that you're looking for there.
Yeah. So the whole basis of like using the RPE in training is just so that you can find the weights that suit how you feel on that day.
Yep.
So what you rate your perceived exertion to be on that day, instead of being like, hey, here's 120 kilos, you got to do 6 reps, do or die, and then you're like hitting a 10 rep on your last set and you're like exhausted and you can't do your accessories. So obviously there's different strategies into program. There's different strategies to program RPE, but one of the things I say within RPE using it in your training is that you're able to make the weight suit how you feel that day. So last week you might have hit 120 on bench for 6, and this week you had a huge week at work, say your dog died and you're emotional and you go in there and you only bench 90 kilos for 6. You're still going to get the same as you would for 120 because your body is rating to that point on that day.
Yep. Based on the energy you have on that day. Right. So like putting fuel in a car, it's only going to go so good with a little bit left, you know, running on fumes or something. That's how I like to explain it, to sort of really simplify it for people that struggle to understand. Lots of simple little comments in there to make it easy.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Yeah, like it's how much fuel's left in that tank on the day.
And then there's of course there's often like an RPE calculator in people's programs. So
yeah, we have that.
So we have that. Nexus have that. And some other, it's a common thing to be found in some programming platforms. But I don't, with my clients, I don't go to that as giving them use of that or showing them how to use that or really even point it out straight away, because I want them to try and learn the RPE by itself first. Of course, in the Rivercity spreadsheet, it has like some links in there to explain easier to things, and we really go into depth about explaining RPE for the clients if they need to beforehand. But maybe after a few weeks and a few more practice sessions around the RPE, if there's still a bit of a struggle there, I might explain the RPE calculator to them, but not to be like to stick to. Maybe to give you like a number that you can get your head around a little bit and then work off how you're feeling for the day. But I like stress to them that it doesn't incorporate how you'll feel for the day. It doesn't incorporate how, if you might be like for a girl on your monthlies, it doesn't incorporate if your dog passed away and you're emotional. It doesn't incorporate if you didn't sleep at all the night before. So I really stress that to my clients so that
the RPE calculator is pretty much the same as doing percentage. Like it just accounts for like your estimated 1RM on that day.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like it's like I said, it doesn't account for like your emotionals, how you feel. So that's the thing with auto-regulating and training is like you can auto-regulate it to suit how you feel on that day. Yep. And that's what we want to do, because like you're going to get the best out of your training if you can push hard one day when you have extra fuel in the tank. And that's not to say, which we'll go into soon, about overshooting and undershooting. But that's not to say that you need to jump up like huge amounts on your top sets week to week. There's points where like I've gone the same weight each week on singles just to improve and get better. Like last week I've hit 140 that many times in the last couple of weeks. It's not funny, because there's no point in jumping forward and pushing your RPE up higher, even higher again, if it doesn't suit you. You're still going to make progress by using that same weight as long as it suits that same RPE for that time, you know. And you just got to figure out how you feel. And that's what I think it comes down to a lot of the time, is people just need to learn. And that comes with training age. So that comes with time and consistency in training. You learn where you are in your training, and then you can kind of pick that variance of where your 7, 6, 7, and 8 is. I know I could go tomorrow to the gym at any time and be like, all right, you got an 8 for a deadlift, and I'd be like, yep, this weight. Like, I just know what my 8, 7, and 6 is at this point. Sometimes I surprise myself. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I overshoot. But that's just sometimes that happens. Sometimes it's like, if we go into talking about overshooting and undershooting, I have some chronic overshooters that do it all the time. Brandon, number one. But he overshot this week, and he just messaged me. He's like, "Oh, I think I hit a RP9 on my first week on feet up bench. I overjudged it." And I'm like, just let the ego down, Brandon. But it's easy to overshoot, but as long as you understand when you shot that week to pull it back to where you should be and start again, you'll be fine. But if you're consistently overshooting every week, all you're going to do is consistently build up more fatigue, which then is just going to burn you out quicker. So there can be two ways of RPE being good, beneficial, and non-beneficial. And usually when people are overshooters and chronic overshooters, I put a cap on it. So I'll write RPE 8 cap, so that don't go past an 8. Brandon always gets caps all the time.
Still goes over.
Yeah, it still goes over. But it's a good way to make people understand that and think twice about what they're going to put on the bar.
Yeah.
And then undershooters, most of the time I see more people undershoot the RPE than overshoot. But the thing is, like, if you're overshooting all the time, you're actually not pushing to your RPEs. We can do things to teach you how to find your RPE better, and good things like amp reps, like, because a lot of people, like, on their accessories are undershoot all the time. You know, if I give someone an RP9, there's no way they're hitting the RP9 on their, like, leg extensions half the time, or leg press, that type stuff. So you want to integrate things like amp reps, which is as many reps until you fail, and that allows people to know what a 10 is and what a 6 is.
Yeah.
You can do it on bench as well. I've done it on bench before, as long as people have a spotter. I wouldn't do it on squats. Probably wouldn't do it on deadlifts, just too fatiguing. But like accessory stuff, like sometimes on dumbbells. A lot of the time I use it on things like hyper 45s and stuff like that, just so people can find what a 10 is, and you understand the feeling of what a 10 is, and then you can look back from there to find where a 6 is.
Yep.
So, do you have anything to say on there?
No, that sounds good.
So some of the things that we're going to touch on is something that I think, like, how can RP benefit your training? Well, like I said before, when it comes down to the things that RPE does, like auto-regulate your training, it can benefit you in a few ways. Like, I find that if you are able to hit your right RPEs, you can kind of push your mesocycles out a bit longer than someone that would be, like, hitting weights. If you're giving percentages based off a old 1RM that was like 6 to 12 months ago, that's not going to really be, like, efficient, right? If, say, I hit a 280 squat like the end of last year, right? There's no fucking way I could squat 280 today. If you hit my percentages off that for this comp prep, I would be absolutely fucked. You know what I mean? So by using RPE, I can guide what my 70 is now based off my prior past history that's happened where I've been sick, I've been through a few things. Whereas, like, if Will had put up, like, oh, you got a 250 squat this week at, like, fuck, I'd be, like, crying. I'd be like, that's not happening. You know, like, so.
And then you can sort of get in your head a little bit around it. And
yeah, and if you're not hitting the numbers, then you're going to, like, get a bit worried about, like, how you're feeling about not hitting those numbers, that type of stuff. So it allows for you to also account for all the fatigue from your workday, your life, all that type of stuff. So brings it back to that same thing where we're talking about auto-regulate. You can bring things back to be able to account for everything that's happening external to training. Because we have two types of stress in training. I'm going to rephrase that. So our body recognizes stress as the same thing, whether it's stress from life, stress from work, stress from training. It's all looked at in the same way, right? So the thing is with that, if you're copying stress from training, got me stressed from life and work, and then you got to go to the gym and hit these numbers that you can't do. You can't auto-regulate that. So at least we can bring in RPE. You can use that to adjust to each day based off that. And if there's a point where like you are feeling fatigued and you hit that lower weight, that's going to recuperate you for your next session in the next week.
Yep.
So yeah. We covered what is RII and RPE, pretty much same thing. Ways to find your RPE, which is like amp reps, that type of stuff I spoke about. And then there's a few ways you can implement RPE into your training. So like a few ways I like to do it is rising RPEs, and I find this works really well when it comes to like an off season, right? For example, there's nothing worse that I like hate is straight sets. Like for myself, I find it a little bit boring, makes my training not that exciting. I kind of get really exhausted from hitting the same number constantly. So like I like to give like if someone's got sets of 5, I like to give a rising RP. It'd be like a 6, a 7, 7.5, and obviously as the weeks go, it'll rise up. What it allows someone to do then is like they hit that first set, feels good, they go up a little bit, it feels even better, and then they hit a bigger set and it feels even better. And you're rising in that weight, but also you're not accumulating fatigue off that one number, then the second set, and then the third set. If you got 3 sets at the same number, you're actually slowly rising up in weight, but at the same time, it makes you feel stronger, but it also allows you to find where your RPE is a bit more. So as you go up, you might overshoot that top set a little bit and you'll be like, oh shit, I overshot it a tiny bit. But it gives you a better gauge of your overall weight for RPE. So like if we can use a rising RPE in the off season, then when we go into the on season where we're going into comp, you allow yourself to find that RPE a bit better from those rising sets. That's one thing I like to use. Another thing is a drop set. So you'll just do like a top set of RPE and then a 10% or a 5% drop, which is very simple and easy. Another one is, which I basically only really use in the last 10 to 12 weeks of comp, is like a top set and then a percentage back off set. And then I might give another 5% drop or something like that as well. That works well because the percentage is based off your estimated 1RM through the calculator, which is in our spreadsheets anyway. It's like embedded into our spreadsheets. So that works really well, especially coming into like comp prep, because when I built my systems in Rivercity Barbell, I was influenced by Juggernaut training systems, and at the same time I was influenced by RTS, right? So RTS are very RPE based, and then Juggernaut are very percentage based as well as RPE. But what I took from RTS was the back down sets, the top RPE, but then at the same time, when I read, what is it? One of the strength books from Juggernaut Training Systems, he had this really good mapped out scale that was like 60% to like 75 for a male, 75, 80 for a male is like hypertrophy, right? Of your max.
Yep.
Your estimated 1RM, whatever you want to call it. From 80 to 90 is strength, and then from 90 to 100 is peaking. So what I did is I used that scale to then implement into the RTS system where they have like the percentage back offsets. So if I've got someone doing a top triple or a top single and then they have a back offset of like 1/3, obviously the rep ranges of a 3 are in the strength based. So then I use the strength based variance of percentages, which is like from 80 up to 90. Or if someone is doing volume back offsets, maybe because we're a little bit further out from comp and they're 4s or 5s, we will look from 60 to 75 to 80, you know what I mean? Like, so I used the Juggernaut training systems scale from 60 to 100% of the max to integrate into the back offsets of the RTS. And it works really, really well. And I think it's something that I really picked up over the years that I've implemented has taken my athletes a lot of the way through their comp prep, because those variances are based off hundreds of people that Chad Wesley Smith had trained before, and it worked really well. And I've never really ever heard anyone complain about the sets being too hard. Whereas, like, if you look at, if you have a look at like RTS's stuff, if you look at his percentages to his RPE, like Mike Cheshire, the percentages are really high. Have you ever seen the RPE scale? It's like a calendar, and then there's like he's got like the RPEs across the top, and then it tells you what a percentage would be for how many reps. Yeah. So they're very high, but Mike Cheshire also doesn't give many accessories. It's more squat, bench, and deadlift. Yeah. So those percentages are high because no one's got to do like accessories. Yeah. Pretty much. So that never worked. So then I went back to the book that I'd read and picked all that up and used that. So that worked really well. And now I built my own little like model based around people I've been influenced from using RP.
Tried and tested.
Yeah, and it's worked well. Like I've had athletes hit like podiums all over Australia, you know, and whether national level, world level. So obviously it's tested and trialed. But yeah, there was a bit of tangent there with the
no, that's good.
Yeah, so but yeah, what else can you think about for RPE?
Pretty much summed it all up, I think.
Surely there's a little bit more.
I don't have too much else to say myself.
How have you found that RPE helps you in your training?
It was one of those things that were quite tricky for me to adapt to when I first started using it, like most is, because I spent about half of my, or if not more than half of my powerlifting scene. I don't like to say career.
It is a career, but...
Why? I don't get paid.
You do now, but you're a coach.
But anyway. But I spent most of the time doing percentages, and so it was an adaptation, changing over to RPE, which took a little bit, but I do find it works well in making not feel so bad if you don't hit the numbers that's on the sheet, yeah. And it's also fun to double check my perception around my RPE on the calculator to see if it's like I check myself for my own mentality around it, not for the calculator to tell me what I need to be doing, but just to check if I'm naturally on the mark to see if I'm processing it good, which is nice. Or
I've never used the calculator.
Yeah, I don't use it to like give me the number. I just want to see that I'm tracking right mentally myself, so that I have, continue to check if I'm undershooting or overshooting. It gives you like I'm already thinking about a number or doing a number or did a number, and it's just like recheck it. That's just something that I've done the last couple of weeks ever. But yeah, it's good. I think that's good. But yeah, otherwise I think you did really well explaining everything.
Yeah, like I just think that there's always going to be people that sit on the fence with RP, and there's people that are like percentage, and there's always going to be that argument. But I just think like that you have in today's society, with the amount of like variance of people have in their life, and we're all not like, powerlifting is not our life. Besides, powerlifting's my life, but it's not our life. There's so many other things that we need to take into account for training, and RP allows us to be able to bring those things in, because at the end of the day, if we don't account for all the stresses that are coming into our life, we're gonna just like fucking burn out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think that'll be where we can finish it up then.
Yep.
So guys, if anyone is interested in coaching, both myself and Dee are taking on more clients for the future. So just go to the link in the bio, click on there. There'll be a spreadsheet that you fill out, and as soon as you fill that out, the Google form, I will be in contact with you to book a call with either me, Dee, or Zoe. We're looking forward to working with some more athletes, as well as anyone that's interested in powerlifting, strength training. Dee's taking on some more clients. I'm definitely looking for some more. So yeah, if you're interested, just swing us a message. If you don't want to fill out the form, just go on Instagram and message me and we can book a call.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good chat.
Thank you for listening in to the Rivercity Unlimited podcast. To hear future episodes, please subscribe to our podcast. And we would really appreciate it if you shared the podcast on your social media story and tagged Rivercity Barbell. If you could also head over and give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and Spotify, that would be really appreciated. For all coaching inquiries, please go to the link in our show notes or head over to our social media at rivercitybarbell.aus on Instagram or Rivercity Barbell on Facebook. Thanks for tuning into the episodes, and I hope you enjoy future episodes.